Hey kids, and welcome to the MMA Fight Picks podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Weinbaum, and today I'm going to pick some fights. First of all, I am on Restream today, so if there are some technical difficulties, I am recording a backup, and I will get that to you promptly, since I'm about a day late today. Anyway, back to it. So I will be picking fights for UFC Philadelphia. Edson Barboza versus Justin Gaethje to be held this Saturday, March 30th at the Wells Fargo Center. But before I pick, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Ecamm Live, which is how I'm broadcasting all over the place, YouTube, Periscope, even Twitch. That's a weird one for me. I don't usually do that one. And also Spreaker. If you tried to use my promo code last week, it is now up and running again. Check out their plans. You can podcast with all the bells and whistles for just under $6 a month using promo code ASW. I will include a link as well. And if you're listening on this Periscope today, feel free to chime in. If you're catching me on the YouTube, feel free to hit subscribe. And if you're just tuning in from MMA Torch, welcome. You can find out more about me by going to AaronSaysWhat.com and clicking on the MMA Fight Picks tab. So welcome, Torchers. So last week, I actually wrote an article for the MMA Torch, basically saying that the UFC and ESPN are turning their backs on the average Joe UFC fan. Basically, if you aren't in a place you can stream or don't have a streaming device that can broadcast ESPN Plus, you may be left out in the cold. So check that out on MMATorch.com, and I'd love your thoughts. All right, enough about that. Let's talk about fights. First off, two fights made, which they interest me because I'm a University of Missouri guy, in case you didn't know, in case you haven't heard from past podcasts. I'm a Mizzou alum, so let's talk about Ben Askren and Tyron Woodley both getting fights, and not the fights you think they were going to get. Ben is getting Jorge Masvidal, and Tyron Woodley's getting Robbie Lawler, which is awesome, a rematch. So I think, honestly, he could have gotten that Askren rematch, but this is a much better fight for Tyron, because if he wins this, he's probably right back in that title picture. He beats Ben Askren, I don't know. It looks like Ben is in danger of getting a three-piece in a soda. Let me tell you something about Ben Askren. He eats a three-piece in a soda for breakfast. Great fight for him. I think he's probably two away. You never know. He's a talker, man. He could be one away and enter the championship, depending on what happens with Tyron and Robbie. So it's interesting. But let's see. And last week, boy, did I pick the main event wrong. I thought the smaller Anthony Pettis had no chance against the bigger Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. It looks like I was right until I wasn't. Pettis knocks him out cold with a Superman hook after losing the majority of the fight. Wow, I eat crow on that one. So let's go first off. Ross Pearson versus Desmond Green. The real deal. Man, Ross has been around forever. I didn't even know he was on this card. He's way down there in the prelims, but I feel like I need to pick him, or pick his fight, rather. I mean, tough break. He had 4 losses in a row from July 2016 all the way to June 2017. Gets a win over Mitsuto Hirota February 2018, and then he loses a unanimous decision against John Medeski here last July. Desmond Green, man, I thought his career would go a little differently. He did fight some guys that didn't make weight, which I thought stunk for him, right in a row, and he lost them. And these guys didn't just miss weight. They both missed weight by 6 pounds. I don't like that, and I don't think those should be losses, but I don't make the decisions here in the UFC. You may or may not know that. And and feel free to leave comments here. I do see I have some listeners. I'm not sure how it works with Restream, so if you are leaving comments and I'm not getting them, I'm super sorry. The first time on the Restream. Anyway, back to the fight. Desmond Green. His last win was Gleison Tibau, June 2018. Before that, he hasn't won since Josh Emmett, split decision, UFC 210, and now I believe he is... he is featherweight, and I'll be picking that fight also. So, Ross, the real deal against Desmond Green. I feel obligated to pick this fight, but this is not an easy one. I think, though, that I'm going to have to go with the real deal. I'm going to have to go with Ross. I think old school grit. This guy's been around forever. And, yeah, I'm going with Ross, the real deal, Pearson here. All right, so next up. All right, I'm going to have YouTube help me pronounce this name. Help me out, YouTube. Are you ready? Let's see here.
The newest UFC Polish female fighter is Karolina Kowalkiewicz.
Karolina Kowalkiewicz. All right, that's as close as I'm going to get to saying that, and I'm going to just, from here on out, say Karolina. She is, of course, fighting Michelle the Karate Hottie Waterson. So first, Karolina loses round 1 to Jessica Andrade, who I believe is fighting for the title next against Thug Rose Namajunas. Before that, though, 2 strong wins, Felice Herrig, Jody Escobar. And, she's really only lost to the top of the division, Claudia Gadelha and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. All right, Joanna, former champion. And then you got Michelle, the Karate Hottie Waterson. I picked against her 2 fights in a row, and she surprised me. She ended up winning those fights. Felice Herrig, Courtney Casey. And for that, she loses to Tisha Torres, loses to Thug Rose. But she has wins over Paige Van Zandt, who's since moved up, Angela Magana. I don't know. This is a really tough one for me to pick, but I like the resurgence of the Karate Hottie. But, man, it is tough to pick against Karolina. But I think experience goes here. I think I'm going to go with Michelle Waterson. I'm going to go with Michelle, the Karate Hottie Waterson. So if I'm wrong, feel free to call me out later. All right, Josh Emmett against Michael Johnson, who's from St. Louis, not too far from me. Josh Emmett last lost to Jeremy Stevens back February last year, so he hasn't fought in over a year. But he has wins over Ricardo Lamas, Felipe Arantes. He lost to Desmond Green, like I said earlier, but that was it. That was at lightweight. And then a whole ton of wins, man, before that. Scotty Hot Sauce Holtzman. I love that name, Hot Sauce. And then you got Michael Johnson. He missed weight, admittedly, for the Artem Lobov fight. He beat the greatest ever in Artem Lobov. And he has a win over Andre Touchy-Feely. That was a real close split decision. Now, when I say he missed weight, he took that fight on short notice against Artem Lobov. He needed an opponent. He took it on short notice. He didn't make the weight. Artem, I think, even classy move, returned the check to him. So cool on that. Check back in the Periscope. All right. But that being said, I think Josh Emmett is a tough customer. And he's beat some tough people. And I have a phone ringing up here, unbelievable. Michael Johnson, though, strength of schedule. He lost to Darren Elkins, and I think I was at that fight, or no, I wanted to be at that fight. That was in St. Louis. I didn't get to go to that fight. Bummer. I think I'm gonna go with Josh Emmett here. Yeah, I like Michael Johnson, but I think Josh Emmett for the win. I think he's just a gritty fighter, and I like his chances. All right, David Branch. I don't want to say he's been a disappointment for the UFC, but he was a multi-division champ before he joined light heavyweight and middleweight against Jack Hermansson. Now, to say I know exactly who Jack is, it's hard to say, but he has some wins, man, some serious wins. Gerald Merchart, Thales Leadys, loses to Thiago Santos. Well, that's, this guy's fighting for a title soon against John Jones at light heavyweight. And then some wins over guys I haven't really heard of. Now, David Branch. He came right in, faced the top of the decision. I think Christoph Jocko's no joke. But he lost to Lukat Rockhold. That's a fight I was at. Well, I had to leave that fight because of food poisoning, but I watched it from a hotel room. But he's got to win over Thiago Santos. No joke. But he last fought Jared Cannonier and lost round 2. I think Hermansson is just a name to kind of try to bring in, but man, I don't know. But he beat Diego Santos. That's a big deal, David Branch. So yeah, I think David Branch. I think hopefully he's this isn't going to be like another Hector Lombard. They brought him in for another organization and hope for great things with him. This is actually his second stint in the UFC. But, yeah, I'm going to go with David Branch beating Jack Hermansson. Man, all the way to the main event. It's a shame. I don't have anyone commenting here, but I think it is possibly my streaming error. Oh, well. But here we are, the main event of the evening. Which, if this division wasn't humping and pumping right now, the 155-pound division, Edson Barboza, Justin Gaethje, it could be for a number 1 spot. But we've had some setbacks here. Edson Barboza has already been beaten by the champs. He was not only beaten by Khabib Nurmagomedov, he was pummeled, okay? A decision, a unanimous, decision for that Kevin Lee doctor stoppage all the way to the 5th round. But he almost knocked Kevin Lee's head off. Kevin Lee gets his wits about him, takes him down. Wrestling saves him, and he just beat Dan Hooker, punched the body round 3. And those body punches are brutal. Then Justin Gaethje, another guy brought in, World Series of Fighting, was a champ there. Disappointing here again. He comes and beats Michael Johnson in a slugfest way back in 2017. Then he loses 2 in a row. Kind of in the same fashion, Last round with Eddie Alvarez, knees and punches, he loses in another slugfest. Dustin Poirier, the 4th out of the 5th round, same deal, just loses in a slugfest, But then I pick against him, against James Vick, and what happened? James Vick, rather. What happens? James Vick knocks him out. It was crazy, and I'm sorry. Justin Gaethje knocks out James Vick. Crazy. And then all of a sudden, he's getting crazy fights again. Here's the thing. I think Edson Barboza probably does it better. And I think it's going to be a stand-up game. Justin Gaethje is a former wrestler, a good wrestler from what I understand, but he doesn't use it. And he's going insane. He may use it. He ain't going to use it. He's going to get sucked in to another slugfest, and it's going to be too much for him, too many kicks and punches. I think he's not going to be able to mix it up as well as Edson Barboza unless he goes for the takedown, in which case I will immediately change my pick. I will call Bet DSI or whoever I need to, but I don't think it happens. I think what happens here, Edson Barboza edges out Justin Gaethje, probably a knockout, probably round 3, probably round 4. Could be 3 or 4. That's my guess. And I would be remiss if I didn't say congratulations to the great Al Iaquinta, who's agreed to come on the MMA Torch podcast with David McGrath and I. So awesome there. And I think that's it. This is a short one. Enjoy the fights. They'll be on ESPN. You can check me out again at the MMA Torch, or find more about me at AaronSaysWhat.com. Click on the MMA Fight Picks tab. And that's it. Until next time, shalom.
Please remember to support the podcast by visiting affiliate links on AaronSaysWhat.com.